you guys, welcome back. Today is very much a stay at home with me kind of day, and honestly, these have been my favorite to film lately. Now today is one of those perfectly balanced days at home. Equal parts vintage luxury, something sweet from the kitchen, and a bit of charming creativity to finish it all off. We're starting with a very special unboxing. This is going to be a special vintage piece from the Burberry Porcelain Autumn-Winter 2012 Runway Collection. It's timeless, it's iconic, and I cannot wait to share it with you. Then we're heading into the kitchen to make lemon shortbread cookies, which sound simple, and they are, until they weren't. We'll get into that in a bit. And then finally, we're doing a craft using antique wooden Pirns that I picked up in my last vlog. We're gonna be turning them into little carrots for spring, and I'm not gonna lie, they turned out very cute. So take a little time for yourself, get cozy, and let's enjoy a bit of creativity together. So to kick off the spring season, guys, I am so excited because I've added another piece to my Burberry Porcelain Christopher Bailey era collection. You all know how obsessed I am with the Autumn-Winter 2012 collection, and I have gone into depth on this collection several times over the years, so all of those videos will be linked down below. But at this point, my entire Burberry bag collection is from that single one collection because, guys, it was so good. Back when I first started this channel, way back in the old apartment where we're sitting at the dining room table, and I unboxed the most gorgeous fox clutch. Now this is done in a Napa leather. It's quilted. The animal country heads, those are all done by the Lost Wax method, which again, if you want to learn more about that, go back to that original video. Now, not long after I got this one, I added another one. Well, it was a little bit longer than that because this collection can be kind of hard to find. I added the hound clutch. Now this is done in a nubuck leather, accented in suede, and I mean, check that out. How perfect is this collection? Now, several years went by because, again, I cannot stress enough how difficult it is to find Autumn-Winter 2012 pieces because I'm not the only person that collects them. Trust me, there are several avid Christopher Bailey fans out there, but I added the piece de resistance, the large orchard bag. Now, this came with a full story as well. I actually found this over on eBay, of all places, for a steal of a deal from a fellow viewer of this channel. I mean, hello, it's springtime now. This is very autumn-winter, of course, but this is definitely gonna be my ride or die come this fall. Now, if you've been around this channel for any amount of time, then you already know that originally, I thought I had this clutch. During the Riccardo Tisci era, which thank goodness was not very long, I ended up buying the Lola small wallet in pistachio with the gold hardware because I thought I had this bag and it was gonna be the perfect match. Now when it comes to the country animal collections, again, I have the hound, the fox, I'm only missing the duck and the owl. So what do you think I found? I absolutely love this collection. If you guessed the owl, then you are absolutely correct. Look at this gorgeous rich emerald nubuck. Now again, the owl is done in the Lost Wax method, all made of brass. Absolutely stunning. And this clutch actually holds quite a bit. Easily fits in there. You can get your wallet, your Hermes chapstick, your car key, and you're out for date night. Like, these are the perfect bags. I know I keep saying that these bags are so difficult to find, but you know where you can find them. Check out Zenluxe, zenluxe.jp. I'm gonna have my link down below in the code. They're sponsoring today's video, and I could not be prouder than working with Zenluxe and the team over there because, guys, they are just professional to the max. I first discovered Zenluxe about a year ago, and I've made several purchases, and each time I am blown away by the shipping quality, the amount of photos on the website. Many of these pieces have 10 to 20 photos for one particular bag, and we all know, shopping here in the States, some of the big 3 resellers could never do that many photos. You know it's true. Be prepared for the best shipping of your life. These pieces, you guys, are so delicately packed. There's lots of air paper, bubble wrap, things are wrapped up, things are very safe and secure, and they're currently offering express shipping here to the States, which is, again, absolutely fabulous, and it's absolutely free. What about tariffs? What about the duties and taxes? Don't worry, Zenluxe also has you covered there. Before you even check out, it's all calculated down at the bottom. To make this a little bit sweeter, I've got my code down below, so make sure you use that for a little bit extra off your first purchase. Let me know in the comments what you've ordered from Zenluxe, because each time I hear from you, whether that be in a live or on a DM and Instagram, you guys rant and rave with how happy you are with Zenluxe. And if you haven't tried them yet, I know you're gonna be happy too. So definitely go and check them out. And I cannot wait to take this out. Now let's head into the kitchen. There's something so lovely about a simple lemon shortbread. These are the kind of cookies that feel right at home on a spring table, whether you're hosting for Easter or just enjoying a quiet afternoon with a cup of tea. Full disclosure, full transparency, this recipe did not go entirely to plan. There was a moment where I thought I might have lost the entire batch, but with a few small adjustments, everything came together beautifully in the end. So I'll walk you through exactly what I did, what went wrong, and how to fix it if you find yourself in the same situation. Now, here are all the ingredients you're gonna need, and if you don't feel like writing them down, listen, I hear you, I've got you covered. These are gonna be posted on my website at curatedbycaleb.com, which of course is linked down below in the description, along with links to all the tools I used as well. For the ingredients, you're gonna need 1 cup of unsalted butter, room temperature. You're gonna need half a cup of granulated sugar, a 1/4 cup powdered sugar, 1 large egg, room temperature, 1.5 teaspoons of lemon emulsion or extract, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, a tablespoon of lemon zest, which is purely optional, but listen, we're doing lemon cookies. I want all the lemon flavor I can possibly get, so I'm gonna be putting some lemon zest into mine, 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Now we're gonna start off by whisking together our dry ingredients. That's gonna be our flour and our cornstarch, and then we're gonna set that aside. Listen, save your comments down below. I'm fully aware that my Longenberger mixing bowl was a touch too small, but I'm filming a video, so aesthetics are completely important. Now let's get out our KitchenAid. We're gonna cream together the butter and the sugar using the paddle attachment on medium-low speed until the mixture is light, fluffy, and pale in color. Now don't rush this step, it's gonna take you about 5 minutes. Next, we're gonna mix in the rest of our liquids. That's gonna be our egg, our extracts, and our lemon zest. We're gonna mix this on low speed until everything is fully combined. Now go ahead and scrape down your paddle with a spatula and then mix it again for another 30 seconds just to make sure everything is all incorporated. Now we're gonna add our dry ingredients and we're gonna do this all at once. Mix this on low speed just until the dough starts to come together and there are no dry bits left. Now it is imperative that we don't overmix here. Next up, we're gonna turn our dough out onto some cling wrap and wrap it tightly and refrigerate it overnight. Now if you're short on time, about 4 hours will do at a minimum. Don't do what I did. Make sure to flatten this into a puck before wrapping it, and definitely don't put it on the top shelf of your fridge. For me, apparently it was too close to my freezer, and I was left with a rock of dough. Now I set this out to try and get to room temperature for about 6 hours. I ended up leaving it out a little too long, had to put it back in. Once I got it out and I was rolling out my dough, it kept breaking apart, so this is gonna be a tip for you. Once the dough is the perfect chilled temperature, knead it out on your countertop slightly. Roll it out and cut your cookies, or in my instance, I decided to use cookie molds. Place those cookies onto your baking sheet, leave a couple of inches between each one, and return them to the fridge or the freezer until they're firm again before baking. Now, if you're like me, I tried getting mine to room temperature, went a little too long. My dough kept tearing and breaking apart. So what I did is I added a teaspoon of milk, kneaded it into the dough, and I did this about 5 or 6 times to kind of get the dough wet again. Now, my dough wasn't perfect by any means, and my more detailed cookie mold, the Easter Bunny, it's just not working. This was not the dough to use in this Easter Bunny, sadly. So I almost gave up and got out my trusty cookie press, but I settled for the heart mold instead. And I kind of like that I did this because it kind of gives a folk art rustic look, which is great considering my dough wasn't the best. Now that we have our cookie sheet, our dough nice and firm, we're gonna stick this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. After which, rotate the pan, and if you used a thick cookie mold like I did, go for another 10 to 12 minutes because guys, these cookies were huge. Now, after we remove them from the oven, let the cookies cool completely on a baking sheet before handling. They're gonna firm up as they set here on our cookie sheet. Now, I wanted to take this one step further and add a clear sugar glaze. Much like the dough, this also did not go as planned, but the taste is so phenomenal, I'll forgive myself for this error. Now, for the glaze, you're gonna need 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, 4 to 5 tablespoons of milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a healthy dash of lemon extract for extra lemony flavored goodness. Once this is all whisked together, add more milk if you need a runnier consistency. In theory, you should be able to dip the top of your cookies into the mixture. Now, much like the dough, my glaze was a little too thick, so I ended up just brushing it on. And while it was still wet, I zested another lemon over the top for extra flavor and some cheerful color on top. And just like that, we made it through, slight detours included. Now, are these perfectly uniform bakery window cookies? No. But at the end of the day, that's kind of the point, right? These are rustic, a little imperfect, maybe a bit, dare I say, personality forward, but they're buttery, they're bright, and honestly, so delicious. Sometimes things don't go exactly as we plan to in the kitchen, and listen, that's okay. A small pivot, a little patience, and we still ended up with something worth sharing with our friends and family. So embrace the imperfections, call it intentional, and enjoy every single bite. Okay, now that that mess in the kitchen is over, it's on to some crafts, which honestly felt very therapeutic after the cookies. So for this craft, we're using antique wooden Pirns that I picked up recently. They were originally used in textile mills to hold thread in weaving looms, which I just think is so cool. And today we're gonna be turning them in to some carrots. Now I made sure to select a mix of sizes because again, we don't want uniform. Nature's not uniform. Our carrots are not going to be uniform either. For the first step, I taped off the little metal tips just to make sure I kept things clean. Then I went in with paint. I used Sloan chalk paint in Barcelona orange, and the key here, don't overthink it. You actually want to see the brush strokes because that's what's going to catch the wax later and give that kind of fresh from the garden look. Don't worry, again, I'll have all of my paints and brushes linked down below for you to make this project a little easier on yourself. Now, I did about 2 to 3 coats of paint and then I let them dry. I even made a little DIY drying rack out of the other unpainted Pirns, and that kind of helped keep things a little bit more uniform. Does it look awkward and questionable? Sure, but at the end of the day, it worked, and none of my Pirns lost any of the paint to the paper underneath. Now, once everything was dry, I sealed it with clear wax, and then I went in with a bit of dark wax to bring out all that texture and add depth. Now, if you think you went a little heavy with the dark wax, don't worry, go back in with a little more clear wax and it's gonna soften everything up beautifully. Now, be careful, it does take about 5 days for this wax to set, so don't rush these out on a table or into your centerpiece. Make sure you give yourself about a good week to have these done and ready for your event. Now, let's move on to the leaves because honestly, this was the fun part. Now for the leaves, I used a few different green ribbons. I chose some with raw edges and some that actually looked like vines, which were really cool. Now I cut them all very uneven, very natural, and I just layered them together with a bit of hot glue. Now for this part, I used the end of a wooden cotton swab so I didn't burn my fingers, which felt like a personal win that I got through a craft with a hot glue gun and didn't even get a blister. Now just press each of these into the top of the Pirns, and with the holes a little larger, add a little bit of glue inside to hold everything in place. And guys, that's it. Now, I hear you. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I would absolutely love these, but I'm not pulling out my glue gun, I may have you covered. I'm considering offering a small batch of these over at curatedbycaleb.com. Just keep in mind, each one would be handmade by me, so there would be likely a 2-week lead time to create them. Let me know down in the comments if this is something you'd be interested in. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Whew. And just like that, we've had a full weekend at home. We started with something truly special, unboxing that rare Burberry Porcelain Owl Clutch, which still feels just as magical as it did on the runway back in 2012. Again, I have to say a huge thank you to Zenlux for sponsoring today's video. Then we spent some time in the kitchen baking our very rustic lemon shortbread cookies, and maybe we learned a little patience and perseverance along the way. Not everything went perfectly, but that's part of the process. They turned out absolutely delicious in the end. And then we ended the episode on a high note with our little Pirn carrots, which I'm kind of obsessed with. And if you guys enjoyed this more relaxed, at-home style episode, definitely let me know down in the comments because I've really loved making these. Next time, we're going to be diving into my living room, doing a full tour, and starting to plan some bigger decorating projects, which I'm low-key very excited about. So make sure you come back for that. If you haven't already, hit subscribe down below. Sound off in the comments. What was your favorite part? Have you hit this same problem with your shortbread cookies? Share some tips for the communities, because trust me, we might all need them. Until next time, guys, stay safe, have fun. See y'all in the next one. Bye-bye. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the lore and the history behind the most iconic Burberry collection, I'll have a video linked over here for you off to the side.